You know, it wasn't the stun gun that really got to me. It was the smug look on Victor Kane's face right after, standing there with his HOA badge pinned to that cheap polo shirt, like he'd just won some neighborhood medal of honor. He crossed his arms and said it again. She didn't have her ID, that's against the rules. As if that justified zapping a 12-year-old girl right onto the hot pavement by the community pool in Willow Creek Estates. I kept my cool voice steady. She's a kid, Victor. You stunned a kid. But he just shrugged, nodding at his clipboard like it was gospel. Noncompliance within guidelines. File a complaint if you want, but the report's closed. Man, that hit me hard because Lily, my niece, she'd only been living with me for a couple months after losing her folks in that awful car crash. My sister and her husband, gone just like that. And I'd picked this place thinking it was safe, quiet, a fresh start with the green lawns and that sparkling pool where she'd learned to swim away her grief. But now she was curled up in a towel, shaking, tears silent, and I could see the fear settling in her eyes like it might never leave, flinching at every shadow, every uniform. And I knew right then, this wasn't just some overzealous guard. This was a system rotten at the core, built on power trips and fake rules that folks like Victor twisted to keep everyone in line. Deep down, I felt that old fire stir, the one from my days on the federal bench in the Eastern District, because Victor didn't know he'd just messed with the wrong uncle, the wrong judge, someone who doesn't swing fists but swings precedents like a hammer. See, Willow Creek wasn't your average suburb. It was this gated haven we'd chosen for the community spirit. But turns out, the HOA ran it like a little dictatorship, fining folks for grass an inch too long, or a bike left out overnight, all under these so-called ordinances that smelled fishy from the start. I dug into their handbook that night, 90 pages of nonsense, and spotted it quick. Ordinance 22C, the one Victor cited for the ID rule in security force. Never voted on, never filed with the state, just poofed into existence via some shady email chain. I wasn't angry in that hot-headed way. No, it was colder, more calculated because I'd seen bullies like this in court, hiding behind paperwork, and I knew exposing them meant building a case, not yelling. Next morning, I started chatting up neighbors. Casual at first, like over coffee at the park bench. There was Margaret Hayes, this sweet widow in her 70s, always tending her daisies a bit too close to the walkway. She whispered about getting slapped with a loitering notice for reading her mystery novel under the gazebo. 4 violations this year alone, including one for trash bins out at 6:02 instead of dead on 6. Then Ryan and Sophia, young couple with a toddler. Their kid's little push scooter got banned as a motorized hazard, even though it was pedal-powered, and they looked at me with that mix of relief and fear, like finally someone was listening. Each story peeled back another layer. Victor wasn't just enforcing rules. He was on a power high, maybe stemming from some old grudge against outsiders like me, fresh movers shaking up his tight control, or hell, maybe it was the HOA board skimming fees for personal perks, turning the whole place into their fiefdom to avoid real accountability. But the real break came when Sophia Reed called me out of the blue. She's the HOA secretary, been rubber-stamping Victor's crap for years, but her voice cracked on the line. "Ethan, that ordinance? We never voted on it. I canceled the meeting because my son had an asthma attack, but next week, fake minutes show up with my name forged." I met her later by the herb garden, her hands dirty from pulling weeds, eyes darting like she expected spies, and she handed me this worn notebook. Real notes, timestamps showing no quorum, no motion, just Victor fabricating it all to beef up security, probably to cover some shady deals with the management company that pocketed extra from fines. She confessed, voice low. "I taught history for 25 years, believed in rules making things fair. But this? It's bullying dressed as order, and seeing your niece back away from that pool, like she'd been branded. I can't stay silent anymore." Her motive hit home. Guilt, pure and simple, mixed with a spark of that old teacher fire, wanting to right the wrongs she'd enabled. Things escalated fast after that. First, a slick letter slid under my door, all official-looking, accusing me of interfering with governance. Threats of fines up to a grand suspension of pool access. I chuckled darkly because it cited the same bogus rule. But when they sent one to Lily, suspending her amenities for non-compliance, that crossed a line, punishing a grieving kid to get at me, and I felt my resolve harden like steel. I wasn't storming gates. I was dissecting their foundation, cross-referenced state filings, found zero record of the amendment they leaned on, consulted an old lawyer buddy who whistled low. That's voidable, Ethan. Every penalty, every stun built on sand. Motive's clear now. Victor's ego, board's greed over unfiled fees, fear of exposure turning neighbors against each other. We mobilized quiet-like, emailed Margaret, Ryan, Sophia for statements. Their tales of selective fines, like Ryan getting dinged for a wrong-facing car on an unmarked curb, all retaliation for questioning. I drafted a petition under their own charter. Emergency meeting if 30% sign, demanding Victor's suspension pending audit. Sophia stepped up big, slipping me emails where Victor ordered batch violations on troublemakers, even tracking who talked to me. Her hands shook signing the affidavit, but she said, "My daughter's studying law now. She'd be ashamed if I didn't fix this mess I helped make." The meeting was electric, packed hall, Victor at the front table looking cocky until I laid out the folders, evidence stacks, Sophia's notes, state omissions. He snapped, "This is partial, unauthorized." But Sophia rose, voice steady. "No, Victor, you faked it all, used me as cover, and I'm done." The room inhaled sharp. He slammed the table. "Order demands rules." I shot back cool. "Rules demand consent, and you lost it when you zapped a child." Votes poured in, hands up like a wave, no confidence crushing him 62-4. He slumped, ashen, muttering, "Under protest." But I leaned in. "No clause for that, pal. Your empire's crumbling." State auditors rolled in days later. Boxes hauled out. Victor's protests falling flat as they uncovered padded contracts, erased metadata. Turns out his friend at the management firm was in on skimming fines for kickbacks. Motive as old as greed. Interim board rewrote everything transparent, no more shadows. Lily started swimming again, tentative at first, but her laugh echoed free. Sophia resigned post-audit, planning civics workshops here, saying, "I want folks to know power's earned, not seized." Willow Creek breathed easier. Picnics without permits, kids on scooters, me and Lily painting our mailbox wild purple just because. But here's the thing that lingers. Was Victor just a bully? Or did the system breed him, letting HOAs wield too much unchecked? Makes you wonder if justice always wins, or if silence lets it slip away again. What do you think? Ever dealt with HOA nonsense or seen power corrupt a neighborhood? Drop your stories in the comments, share if this hits home, and hit subscribe for more real-life takedowns like this. Let's chat about where the line is between rules and tyranny.